Hey everyone, today I've got a video for you on this Conn Cornet that I got a little bit ago. So, as you can see, I'm pretty good there. It's a really old cornet from CG Conn. It's a Victor model. I don't know if you can see that. A little engraving there. CG Conn, old Victor Cornet. I believe it's the 40A, if I remember correctly. So this thing, obviously, not in great shape, which is why I got it, because I wanted to try and document the process of taking something like this and, taking it apart, fixing it, getting it at least about as functional as I can reasonably get it, Not every instrument comes back into playing shape, although this one we shouldn't have too much trouble on. But I wanted to document that whole process and show you guys. I think it's kind of interesting. So let's start off by moving this case out of the way. And starting with what I normally do, which is an initial evaluation, kind of look at it, see what we need to do, what the general shape that it's in, and work from there, kind of set a game plan. You don't want to just jump right into something like this. So let's start off first. So first I know what brand I'm dealing with, what kind of instrument. I can see it's a cornet, and I can see that it's made by Conn, so I know it's going to be fairly sturdy and, higher quality than some other stuff, so I don't have to necessarily worry about tearing something, or if I'm worried about these braces coming off, they might be a little sturdier than some other instruments. That is important sometimes, you might not think about it, but if I'm working on a cheaper instrument, I might not do repairs a certain way, if I know that it's cheaper metal or that they're specifically really bad solder points, things like that. But with a Conn, everything's fairly sturdy. I'm not too worried about any structural issues like that, especially because I don't see too much, tearing or real destruction to this thing as bad as it looks. So first impression, it's mostly all there. We're missing a bottom valve cap. I'll have to find one somewhere, even if I don't find one. I doubt I'd find one that's this. Oh yeah, I definitely don't have one of those that has this kind of pearl inlay in the middle, which is really neat. But hopefully I can find something that is either pretty close to thread size or pretty close to looks that I can rethread to get on here. Either way, we'll find something to slap on there later on. So let's see. Obviously we can see this lead pipe is bent pretty bad. It's fairly gnarly. It looks like it might have been resoldered. Yeah, that could possibly have been where it was resoldered in the past, although maybe that's just some corrosion. Hard to tell, but either way, that's bent pretty bad. So we'll straighten that out. We can see that obviously valves are sticking. This third one in particular, first one feels all right, second one feels all right. They just need a good cleaning, but that third one, that's in there pretty bad. So let's do a quick look on the other side and see. Oh, yep. I don't know if you guys can see that little nick. That's probably feels pretty deep, feels like a dent. So that would be impacting the valve, keeping it from going out. So that could be something that will need to be taken out. So good to know. Let's see what else. While we're sticking to the front, this tuning slide, that's stuck in there pretty good. Third slide's stuck as well. First slide, same deal. I feel a little bit of give, but not much. Also, it looks like we have two pieces to this tuning slide. Is that the same? Yeah, it looks like it's the same for the third slide. So that's important to keep in mind if I'm going to pull these out and one part starts moving. I need to know that there's another part there. Either way, I'm going to have to get both parts out. So, not terribly important. If you miss it, just know that I will eventually have to get this back part out as well. So second slide, as usual, pretty stuck in there. I feel it wiggle a little bit, but for all intents and purposes, this all the slides are stuck. And also, as you may have noticed, this extra slide back here, I don't know what this is for yet. I haven't looked into this cornet too much. I'm sure it has something to do with tuning. This area here, probably, obviously not main tuning because it's over here. Maybe puts it into a different pitch, or for micro tuning, which would be pretty sweet. I know a lot of old horns did that, but I'll look into it later to see what exactly this specific configuration here does. But obviously this tuning slide, pretty stuck as well. You can see it's got corrosion and turning red and all that. And this turner here has come off. You see that unsoldered there, so I'll need to take that off. Some pretty rough soldering in there. Looks like they didn't quite clean it up when they went to solder, and didn't quite hold so well. So I'll have to clean that up once I get all that off and resolder that back on, and that should be good to go. Another thing to note, main tuning slide has this stopper rod here, so these were somewhat common back in the day. You see these a lot on box Strad trumpets. They have this kind of thing on the third slide. So this one's on the main tuning slide, just keeps it, so you can just go only so far out and kind of keep the same tuning every time if you want to move it back and forth. So that's pretty handy, but good to know, because if I'm trying to pull this thing out and I'm whacking on it and it's getting stuck on this piece here, it's not going to be a good time. I don't, I want to know to take this off before going at that slide. So let's check these valves. Well, actually, externally, let's check the bell first. So, we kind of looked at the bell earlier, but you can see a couple little dents back here. The bend actually is pretty good on this tail end of the bell. So you got lucky there. That can be kind of tough to get out here, especially on cornets. But other than that, bell's actually in pretty good shape. So not bad. Inside of the bell, looks like it might have a little bit of a gold wash. Maybe that's raw brass. It looks kind of like it might be gold. Anyway, so that's pretty good. Obviously the whole thing's tarnished, so we'll need to polish it, but that's kind of a given. So now let's see if we can get any of these valves out. Okay, well, oh boy, lucky for us, the one that's really stuck is the one that comes unscrewed. Okay, well, that's really in there. We're going to leave that. There we go. So let's check how these valves look. Take that off. Oh, that's not so great. So it looks like pretty much all of the plating has come off. A little tiny bit of plating left, but most of this is, looks like the plating's pretty much gone there, which is unfortunate. That's a big part in how well the valve works, is if the plating is done well and in good shape. And obviously these have not been taken care of, and it's a fairly old instrument, so you kind of expect this kind of thing, with that old of an instrument. But good to know, valves are not in good shape. But if we take them apart, brush them off, maybe give them a little bit of a polish, should work just fine. Not the hugest deal. I could do something like replate them and stuff, but obviously I don't. Here I don't have the facility for that kind of thing. I don't quite do that. It's not that big of a shop, so as much as I'd like to, don't have the facility or the know-how to do that right now. But we should still have pretty good luck just cleaning them up, brushing them off, calling it a day. So we've also got cork here as part of the bumpers. Usually there's cork and then a piece of felt on top. Maybe this one lost its felt, or they just don't have felt on this one. It's not in the cap or anything. So that's good to know that it's probably going to be a fairly large piece of adjustment material there. And then we've got under here, whoops, under the button, there it goes, back here. Just a normal felt. There's probably a really thin piece of cork underneath that. That's usually how they configure them. But that's good to know that it does take cork and then felt, as that'll mean it's a fairly large piece that I would have to put. If I did just one piece, it would be fairly thick. So I'll probably either reuse these corks if they're in good shape, or try and make some new ones. If I need to replace them, and then just put my felt on top of that. So there we have it. That's a general overview of this thing. Of course there's the little stuff, dents in the second slide, dents in these slides, things like that. But well, it's in rough shape, but I think we'll be able to get it up and running. So let's see start getting it apart is the first step. So I'm gonna first of all try and get it all apart. Once I get it apart, I can do whatever I want to probably start with. A cleaning, then do the repairs. It doesn't necessarily matter. I just like to get it apart first so that I know that it can come apart. And if something breaks off, like if these crooks come off of the slide or whatever, then I know that's more work. And if I'm soldering something else like this brace here, I might as well solder these while I'm at it and do all the soldering in one go. But yeah, whether you do some of the repairs that you can reach before or after you take it apart and clean it, doesn't necessarily matter. I'll probably try and straighten this out before I clean it, just so I don't have to worry about it. But yeah, first step, let's take it apart and see what we're working with. All right, so here we are. Grabbed a couple tools. So let's start trying to get this thing apart and see if we get lucky. So obviously we got this valve out already, but I want to keep this cap on because I'm going to be trying to get this middle one off. I don't want to accidentally run into any of the other threads and damage them. So yeah, that's a quick tip there. If you're working with any stuck valve caps, top or bottom, you want to keep the other caps on if possible. Obviously we're missing one here, but you want to keep one on if possible, so that you cannot, so you don't run into anything and damage the valve threads. So with this, what I do is kind of apply pressure the opposite way. So I'm trying to turn it this way. I want to be pulling this way, take a hammer and do kind of slided blows at it to kind of nudge it the way that I want it to go. So let's see if we can get this to loosen. Kind of feel it moving. Oh, and there it goes. That's pretty nifty there. Boom. Bam. Bam. Okay, well that third one's stuck, so let's see if we can get that. Let's go after these bottom valve caps so we can try and get this one out here. Obviously this valve, pretty stuck. It's pretty snug in there. So bottom valve caps. Okay, cool. So this one came off, easy peasy. Again, I don't necessarily want to take it off, especially because I'm going to be whacking this way into it. I don't want to hit the threads. So that's stuck. So let's do our hammer trick again. Okay, felt it move a little, not quite. Okay, that thing's really on there. I do feel it moving though. Let's see if we can do it one more time. Oh, that's not quite going. Yeah, that thing's really on there. Okay, we'll give it one more go. You know, I'm just trying to glance at it and kind of nudge it that way. It also kind of can break up the corrosion, giving it a little bit of vibration. But you know, I'm not whacking it very hard. I'm just kind of glancing off of it to get it to the hammer to kind of grip it and turn it. Okay, so let's give it one more go and see if we can get it to move. I think that was it. Yep, there it goes. So we got those valve caps off. Not too bad. 1 and 2. All right, so this valve, ooh, nice. Got some stuff coming out of it. Looks like it's in there. Well, I don't see anything too out of the ordinary. It doesn't look like it's oval or anything, so I'm gonna bet that it's that mark we saw earlier. So one tip I found from my boss is a thing of cork grease is just about the size of most trumpets and cornets, so you can kind of bump this lightly and you know, you won't be collapsing in on the valve since it's the same size. So let's see if we can just give it a real light tap. I don't want to whack on it or anything. I just want to give it a real light little push and, you know, just kind of nudge it out, not force it out. Oh, there it goes. Moving. There we go. All right. Ooh, that's really in there. Give it a little wiggle. Out it comes. Well, there we go. Got that valve out. We can see this one's missing the cork and just has a little piece of felt. So obviously this thing hasn't been repaired in a little while. Well, I mean, we can tell that by the rest of the horn, can't we? So there we go. I got that taken care of. All right, valves are out. Now we can look inside and see and it's dirty, and that's about it. So we will come back to that when we come back to it. So, all right, well, let's keep moving, see if we can get these slides to move. What I'm gonna do first is, let's see, how do I want to go about this? Well, I really want to get this third tuning slide out of the way so that I can get at this main tuning slide easier. I also noticed, I forgot to mention earlier, there's this mechanism here. It looks like it adjusts, so it moves these two with each other. So this comes over here. Oh, so when, oh, it's attached to the main tuning slide. I didn't see that. Interesting. So it looks like maybe when you move the main tuning slide, it moves these slides as well, or either way, these are connected, so that's good to know. I don't necessarily want to, you know, just go whacking at them while they're connected. So I should probably take that off. Let's see if I can just unscrew this real quick. Yeah, that's screwed in. So let's take that apart first. Let's see, I have a screwdriver here. All right, put this somewhere I'll remember it. Let's say right there for now. Actually, I don't like that. Usually I'll lay out, let's do this now. I'll lay out a piece of cloth or this towel here. I'll put it, you know, kind of off to the side of where I'm working, and I'll put all of my parts there so that they keep it all in one place. So I'll put those, put this over here, and put that screw that of course I've now lost. Way to go me. You guys probably see it. It's probably right in front of my face, but you know, oh, here it is. And that's why you put stuff on something, because then it also contrasts, you know, on here, dark on dark, that's no fun. Light, dark on light, much easier to see. So yeah, another great reason. Keep everything in one little section here. Helps keep you organized. So anyway, so now that is disconnected from here, so I can go about working this third slide without messing too much up. I don't think this hits the main tuning slide. If I start moving it and I feel it gets stuck, I'll check. This piece here might run into that. That's attached to the main slide. We'll have to see. We'll tackle that when we get to it. So I'm going to give it a little bit of a nudge, see if it starts going. Where do I want to? Yeah. So let's see if we can get that first. So we'll see if we get lucky and it comes at us easy. So for these kinds of slides, oof, that's kind of tough. So usually I would use this Mouthpiece turning tool, this you know, straighten out the ends of mouthpieces. But you know, you kind of stick it in here, give it a little bump, and usually it's the same contour. You know, since it gets bigger, you can find the same contour as the crook, and you can bump it out without you know, collapsing in the slide or anything. But it looks like this is a very small tolerance, and I can't quite get that in there. So we're gonna have to come up with something different. I do have my slide pulling pliers, although these can mark, you know, if you go to size this up and you don't quite get it a good grip, or you know, you're not holding it firmly enough, you can slip and it'll mark up the work, and I don't necessarily want to do that. I try and use these as little as possible when it's stuff like this that's really close together, just because they don't always grab the best and I don't want to hurt anything. You know, better to just not take the chance. Although for something like this, you know, on the main tuning slide, plenty of space to get the pliers in here, so I'll probably use these here, and that won't be much of a problem. But again, I want to get this out of the way so I can try and get a better shot at this main tuning slide. So let's see. We do have a little bit of a gap here, so maybe we can get the pliers in there, give it a little bump. Let's do one or two little bumps, see if we can get it to budge. So I'm gonna line this up, get that right in that crease, hold it nice and firm, brace it off of my arm. Okay, it's pretty good. So you can see it might have slipped a little tiny bit. That's not too big of a deal. That's all right. I don't think you'll really see that. Yeah, it looks like pretty good. So it did move a little bit. That's a good sign. which means now we can get a better grip with that. So I'm still going to keep an eye out for this running into that slide there. So let's do, now that we got a better grip, get that right in there. Give it a couple more. Okay, let's see if this has, yep, that sure does look like it's getting closer. That's going to run into it. So, well, I don't really want that. So let's see if I can get at these other pieces. Let me find a good screwdriver off to the side here. No good screwdriver. So let's see if we can get these two screws out. Oof, bunch of gunk in there. Clear that out. Gross. Okay, that one, oh, almost out. There it goes. Come on. Doesn't quite want to come out. It's almost there. Give it a little wiggle. That dang thing. Yeah. Wow, that thing really doesn't want to drop. Well, let's see if we can get the other one. Oof. Should get a longer screwdriver for this. See, that one drops out. Oop, there it goes. And onto the floor. There we go. All right. Got my other screw. Two down. This other one doesn't quite want to come out. Oh, not quite. Okay, give me a second to pull that out real quick. There we go. Got some pliers. Grabbed it out. No problem. Okay. So now that should be detached. It looks like it is. I can't necessarily move it around, but let's see if we can move this third slide a little more and see if that little arm there goes with it or not. Okay, looks like we're good. So it did run into this, but it's not attached anymore, so that's good. Oh, also this other piece came off. Gonna have to put that all back together later. So it looks like it's kind of just friction fit in between this little screw holder part and the other side. So let's keep bumping that and get that slide out. Okay, it feels like I got stuck on something. No, it's still moving. Oh, yeah. So I did run into that, so I was right. We were going to run into something. So I do have to get this part out. It's really in there, though. Let's see. How am I going to do that? May have to get the main tuning slide out at the same time. Yeah, that's quite a contraption it's got going on there. All right, well, let's start tackling this bit here. Oh, come on. There it goes. So take this part apart so that we don't run into it when we're trying to get that main tuning slide out. So we may have to do the main tuning slide and the third slide at the same time. Not the worst thing, but a little bit of a pain. So get that off. There we go. Bam. All right, so we got lucky with this third valve that it started moving without much, you know, trouble. But let's see. See how this tuning slide. I don't necessarily like that. This ferrule here is kind of getting in the way of the pliers, so I'm not quite able to grip on this front area here. It kind of pushes it forward a little. It's pretty close. Let's see if I kind of nudge it up against it. Get a good grip. Let's do like one whack and see if it moves. Okay, looks like that worked. I got just barely enough room to catch it. Okay, see what I'm talking about. Got a little bit of sliding, so, you know, luckily this is my own instrument. I'm not too worried about it, especially because it's really, really old. But anyway, so now we know. I might not have enough room on this side either, actually. It's got the same deal going on. Actually, I have more room there. So let's see if we can get at this side, get more grip. So there it goes. So I got the one side moving, the other side's still stuck though, so I don't want to whack that out too much or I'm going to hurt it. See, I don't necessarily want to do that since I've got this ferrule in the way. Let's see if I get lucky again. Okay, so looks like that moved. I got lucky there. A couple more bumps there. And this is mostly a game of patience with slides, you know. We're getting lucky that these slides are coming out just by whacking on them a little, but you got to make sure you go back and forth until they're both sufficiently free. You don't want to just whack on one side the whole way out and then bend the crook and damage the whole thing. You know, that does happen. So you want to alternate both sides. So let's do a little bit of that. I just felt something give, and yep, to be expected. Crook came off of the inner slide. So that's unfortunate, but like I said, it does happen. That's pretty common, especially on old instruments where the solder's kind of worn out. So luckily that does give us the rest of the slide to kind of pull out. Oh, look, and it grabbed the third slide for us. So there we go, third slide, 3/4 of the main tuning slide out there, and we've got that bad boy. Oof, lots of gross stuff in there. So that's going to be kind of fun. We can tackle that in a second, but for now we got third tuning slide. I believe this does come off, so we're going to have to, I'm going to double check. Hopefully there's somewhere online I can look up a picture of this apart, or just see if this is just for decoration. Some of them do that, or if it's actually a slide. I have a feeling it's a slide. It just kind of looks like it comes apart rather than it's for decoration. So I'll double check on that before going too hard on it. And then we've got most of our main tuning slide coming out there. So that's a pretty good start there. Now let's tackle the other slides. So the second one, I did feel a little wiggle. Let's see if I can wiggle it just a tiny bit. I feel it moving. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Some pull, and there it goes. Look at that. Oh, interesting. So it has a little slot in there. So that's where this rod then goes through. Kind of neat. Obviously, pretty dented up. Second slides aren't too hard to work on though. So let's set that off in our little pile. All right, first slide here. Still got this part connected. Let's take that off. Oh, more gunk. I'll clear out the gunk before going at the screw. The other ones were pretty loose, so I didn't really have to worry about it. Oh, there we go. That one's not too bad either. Oh, come on. And screws just don't quite want to come out. Get out of there, you. All right. It's another screw, and this rod is off. It's even got the serial number on it. That's kind of cool. Anyway, all right, so this first slide stuck pretty good. Looks like we might be able to get our pliers in there. All right, so again, we'll do, let's see what's the best way to go at this. This one's a little easier to get to, so make sure they're nice and snug, give it a good grip, not too tight. Let's see. Doesn't look like it moved too much. Alright, so this one might be more of a problem. Let's try one more time, see if we can get it to budge. Oh, it felt like it moved. Oh, there it goes. So not as much trouble as I thought it was going to be. So that's good. So we got that. Again, there is a little gap there, so it does look like this is a separate slide, obviously. Not coming off now, we can worry about that later. Okay, so mostly apart, except for this piece here, this extra tuning slide we got going on. So, looks like usually you'd have to loosen this while you're pushing these things, but obviously it's unsoldered, so we don't necessarily have to worry about that. Let's give it a good old tug. As expected, nothing. So it looks like we've got plenty of space to get our pliers in. We got lucky, what's that, 4 times in a row? Well, maybe 3 1/4. So let's see if we can get that in there. Oh, yeah, that turning thing's kind of in the way. Well, I can kind of get it in here. Let's see if I can give it a little. That move? Might have moved a little bit. Can't quite get the pliers in on that side since we got this in the way. Will this come off? That's stuck to the threads pretty hard. I think I'm gonna have to leave that for now. Let's give this one more whack, see if we can get it to go. Okay, feels like it's moving, kind of looks like it's moving. I think it's pulling the other side along with it too. I can kind of feel it nudge a little bit. Okay. Okay, so, yep, now we got it. Give it a little pull and wiggle. And we got it out. Nice. So we got real lucky with the slides here that they came out so easily. Usually they're a lot more stuck, a lot more corroded. I mean, these are pretty corroded, but there's not a lot of buildup on them. They're just kind of gross. Obviously that solder point, not the best there, so I'll have to clean that up. No big deal. Okay, so we got it apart. This part, let's see how this works. It looks like it's just kind of free spinning on the rod here. So set up the whole, it's kind of pointy there. Get a better grip on that. So I'm gonna have to, there it goes. Let's see how this works. It looks, okay, so maybe this, here we go, can turn out of that. Haven't really seen this mechanism before, so I'm not super familiar with how it works. I mean, obviously you turn this and it moves the slide up and down, but to get it apart, looks like it's better to turn this here. There it goes. Okay, so we got that out. This part, that's still on there. I wonder how it's attached. I'll have to look that up again. I have not really seen this mechanism before, so don't really know how to take it apart, but we have the important part. This little rod is out, so we can reattach that to the slide. Yeah, it looks like some sloppy solder work in the past. Kind of needs to be cleaned up and fixed. So that's out there. And other than this slide, which we'll get at in a second, it's apart. So let's move on and start working on that. All right, so I'm back here, got the Cornet on the soldering table, and we're gonna wanna get this slide out of here now, the one that broke off on us. So I don't know if you guys can see, but there is tons of corrosion in there. It's pretty gross. So we wanna be able to break that down first so that this will come out a little bit easier. I'm sure it comes down all the way through the slide. So the first step to that is heating it up with a torch. We just want to heat it up a little bit, just enough to kind of get everything a little bit moving and separating. And I don't want to hurt the silver plating on this thing. Obviously it's pretty old, so I'm not super concerned if it gets a little bit damaged. It's more important that we get the slide out and get the instrument functional than that it looks exactly perfect, you know, especially because it's already old and beat up. Not a huge deal, but I'd rather avoid that if I can. So I'm just going to be careful when heating it up. And then I'm going to apply some corrosion cracker, which goes right into the spot that you want to get the corrosion out of, and this stuff will kind of eat away at it. It's really handy, love it. It's actually from Pliers, I believe, their corrosion cracker. So put it in there, the heat will kind of draw it in as well, and then it'll break up the corrosion. We'll be able to pull that out a little easier. Let's see if we can get it going. So heating this here. Trying to keep the flame moving a little bit so I don't hurt it. Okay, now it's a little warm. Let's put some corrosion cracker. All right. Got that going there. Heat it up a little more to kind of draw the corrosion cracker in there. Might bubble a little, that's all right. That'll actually kind of help it break up the stuff. Okay. Looking pretty good. Starting to get a little bit of discoloration on that silver there, so I might want to lay off that. All right, that's looking pretty good. Add a little more. All right, so now I'm going to let that sit, hopefully standing up so that it can drain down into where I want it to go. But the other thing is, I'm going to want to clean out the inside of this slide just a little bit. So I've got, let's see, cleaning brush, that's too big. Smaller cleaning brush. Let's see if we can get in there a little bit. It's kind of an awkward angle here. I think I have one at an angle. This might also be too big. Yeah, close enough. So just scraping away with a metal brush, getting some of that corrosion out of there, because if we need to grab it by the inside, we want it to be fairly clean. That's a little bit better. Not the best, but that'll just give us a little bit of working room so that if we have to put something inside here, solder it in or whatever, it's a little bit more clean. If I have to solder something in there, I'll clean it off a little bit better so that the solder will actually grip. But for now, not looking too bad. So put one more final touch of corrosion cracker. All right, we'll leave this to sit for a little bit and let it do its thing. We'll check back on it in a little bit. All right, so I've let this sit for a little bit, and now I'm gonna do this kind of interesting trick that I was shown a bit ago. So I've got a dent ball that's about the same size, or as close as I can get to this slide, and that's just to keep it from collapsing in. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this piece of sandpaper just to give it a little bit of grip. I'm not sanding anything, and then grip it in the vise and use this as just a little bit of friction to grab the slide and give it a little bit of a twist and pull and see if it comes out. So obviously this isn't something that you would do yourself or whatever. And don't do this on high-end instruments, of course, but something old like this where if I do scratch the inside a little bit, not a big deal. We're going to see if we can do this. Get lucky and get this thing out of here. 9 out of 10 times, this will actually get the slide out for me without causing any damage. So I'm going to brace with this hand here and this other hand over here, and make sure to be careful. I'm not trying to twist the whole instrument or anything. I'm really just trying to use it as a tiny bit of leverage. So tighten that up a little. So I'm just trying to get that slide to move a little bit. Oh, this thing isn't liking me. Gotta tighten that down. Let's see. And there it goes. All right, there we go. All right, so you can see little tiny bit of scratch, no big deal. Barely anything, you can hardly see it. And now, that ball's a little stuck there. I'll have to get that out. I'll push that out in a second. But that slide is moving. That's definitely out more than we had. So the bell was kind of running into the vise here, so I wasn't able to keep pulling. So grab something else to pull it, probably. Maybe these pliers. Let's see, do these have enough grip? Not quite. So let me go grab another pair of pliers and we'll see if we can get that all the way out. And there you have it. Slide came out fairly easily, actually. That little trick it's been pretty good to me, so no damage to it. It's all good to go. Pretty gross, honestly, but we'll clean it up, solder it back together, and then get the rest of this thing going. All right, so here's our whole cornet. We got the whole thing taken apart. Got the body, valves, on all the slides, and the caps taken off. So of course I'll separate these as well, but anyway, we got the button, top cap, valve. So the next step would be taking it apart. Would be taking it and cleaning it. I am going to try and get these parts out, but it might actually be easier after we clean it, just because then some of the corrosion will be, taken away and all of that. So it would be a little bit easier to get out. So I might save that for after we clean it, just so it's a little bit easier there. But either way, the next step would be to clean it up, get it all looking better. I'd probably clean it before putting this together as well with our extra slide here, just because that'll make it a lot easier to solder together. You want to clean parts when you're soldering, and so these are very, very gross. There's a lot of gunk in there. Obviously, this thing not clean at all. So it'd be better to clean it off first, then come back later and solder it together once it's all clean. So I think this will be part 1 of the video, and then part 2 we'll do the cleaning, reassembly, things like that, and down work, see how it comes out. So thanks for watching. Stay tuned for the next one.